All right, welcome back to Fantasy Files 1054 or FFX54 for short. We're going to get right into the Week 10 running back rankings here. But before we do that, if you guys like the video at any point during the video, please do like the video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. We go live every Sunday before the games to clean up any news that shook out between our running back and wide receiver ranking videos that we release every single Tuesday and Wednesday. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in and you want to come hang out, ask some questions, and just play some bets with us while we're waiting for Sunday football to kick off, then we are the spot for you. So go ahead and show some support. And again, I'll reiterate, the support lately has been crazy, so appreciate it to everyone out there watching. But we're going to get right into the running back ranking videos, and I'm going to release the first three guys just back-to-back because I don't want it to look... these are obviously the order that I see them in. But the point is that it doesn't really matter for these first three guys. So we're just going to throw all of them up here with Saquon Barkley versus the Houston Texans, Austin Eckler versus the San Francisco 49ers, and Christian McCaffrey versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Saquon and Christian McCaffrey both have incredible matchups, and then Austin Eckler just been the number one running back on the entire year. So again, not a whole lot to be said here. I do think Christian McCaffrey's volume gets taken down just a little bit because last week when he had that incredible performance with the passing touchdown, receiving touchdown, and running touchdown, that was without Deebo Samuel. Now we're going to have a healthy Deebo Samuel. We have a healthy George Kittle and a healthy Brandon Ayuk, but it is the best running matchup in the entire league. Well, I guess the second best, right behind Saquon Barkley's matchup. So all these guys are great. Throw them in. Temper your expectations in Christian McCaffrey standards for just until we see how this offense shakes out with Deebo and Christian McCaffrey. They're basically an identical player, with Christian McCaffrey being a little bit more run heavy and then Deebo Samuel being a little bit more receiving heavy. But either way, both these guys are studs. Both these guys are going to get their touches. And these are our top three for Week 10. Slightly behind these three, we have Derrick Henry. This is, again, by the smallest of margins. What we got to remember here in this top tier is that all these guys are obviously jammed into your lineup. And, we're expecting just insane productivity out of them every single week. If we look at Derrick Henry's previous scores, we're looking at 23.5, 35.8, 16.8, 27.2, 23.7, 25.3. So, again, by the slightest of margins, he's out of that top three category. But Derrick Henry's going to be our number 4 going up against the Denver Broncos, who are one of the better matchups never mind. They're middle of the pack. Okay. So Denver Broncos, middle of the pack, allowing 102.9 yards on the ground every single week. And again, the story that's developing is we don't know that if Ryan Tannehill is going to be playing this week or not, but Malik Willis is just... The scheme when Malik Willis is in this offense is give Derrick Henry the ball every single touch, or every single touch that you possibly can. So, if Malik Willis is in there, Derrick Henry is going to have a slight bump over if Ryan Tannehill was in there. But either way, Derrick Henry's a smash play, and we see him put up numbers with either quarterback. So don't read too much into that, and throw Derrick Henry in as a top 5 back for Week 10. And then right behind Derrick Henry, we have Travis Etienne coming in with his first top 5 appearance in the ranking videos. We have a beautiful matchup, if you look at the bottom left hand of your screen, versus the Kansas City Chiefs, who are allowing 27 points to the running back position. And Travis Etienne is the only running back in this backfield at this point, and he is breaking away massive plays every single week ever since James Robinson has been gone. And even with James Robinson in that offense, he was still producing at an incredible level. So if he's going to be a bell cow running back moving forward, he is that basically a rookie here and has been producing ever since he's gotten that lead back role. So in this matchup, Travis Etienne is going to be a top 5 candidate for us in Week 10. Week 10. All right, dropping down to the next tier is Nick Chubb versus the Miami Dolphins. Again, another beautiful matchup, allowing 21.9 fantasy points to the running back position. Again, just to touch on this is lineups.com if you guys want to see this full site. There's more stuff here off to the right of the screen that is helpful for stats. Both you can filter by quarterback, running back, wide receiver, any position, any fantasy user you're using, any format, whatever the case may be. So just a little tip for you guys, just because I really do like using this tool. But regardless, we have a lot of very good running backs going up against very good matchups, and Nick Chubb is another one of them. He's only out of this top tier just because he isn't involved in the passing game at all. But regardless, Nick Chubb was the top running back for the entire beginning half of the year, and he's going to still earn his spot as a number 6 running back on the week for week 10, averaging just about 20 points per game, and is currently sitting at the number 5 running back on the entire season. So Nick Chubb is going to be our number 6 versus the Miami Dolphins. Right behind Nick Chubb, the trend continues with another great running back going up against another great matchup in the Pittsburgh Steelers, allowing 22.7 fantasy points per game to the position. Alvin Kamara had a little bit slower of a week going up against the Baltimore Ravens, but and honestly, the Baltimore Ravens have been ranked pretty poorly in the defensive categories for the beginning half of the year. But I think Raekwon Smith is a massive addition for our offense. Again, remember that the Ravens are my favorite team, so a little bit biased there, but regardless, Alvin Kamara had his hands full last week. Going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he should have a lot better of a matchup and a lot more opportunity, just because they should be able to keep the ball on the field a lot more than they were able to do in the Monday Night Football game against the Ravens. So look for Alvin Kamara to bounce back and give us that vintage Kamara performance that we're used to seeing. We saw, for the past, I think 2 or 3 weeks before last. So look for him to return to that workload and that performance level. So Alvin Kamara will be our number 7 on the week. Right behind Alvin Kamara, we have Kenneth Walker. I know right below him it says at Tampa Bay, but that is not the case. They're going to be playing in Germany, which is very weird. And I think it's I saw somewhere that I think that's like a 20-hour flight or something. So again, I've mentioned it in yesterday's video and previous videos, but these remote games where they're going out of country to play, sometimes they end up very weird and teams play uncharacteristic of what they normally do. So I'm a little bit curious how this is going to affect this game, if at all. I know that those teams usually do fly in early in the week, so sometimes it does have no effect, and I'm sure they're getting better at it year by year. But regardless, Kenneth Walker is always someone we're going to throw into our lineup. He was one of the best running backs last week, giving us 27 points, won the week for me in multiple leagues. So he's going into our lineup no matter what. I just am not sure if this game is going to affect them at all. But the silver lining here is that both these teams are greatly coached and they are very disciplined for the most part. So they should not affect them, and Kenneth Walker probably will be the least affected, if at all. So Kenneth Walker is going to be an easy spot for us going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, yes, are one of the better running defenses in the entire league. Again, at the left of your screen, allowing 18 points to the fantasy position, third best versus the running back. However, again, Kenneth Walker is just an absolute stud that is actually starting to get some involvement in the receiving game as well. So as an owner, we love to see that. Kenneth Walker, number 8 for week 10. Right behind Kenneth Walker, we have Josh Jacobs. And I'm not, I don't know how we want to feel about this because there's a lot of factors going on here. There was a very slow couple weeks for Josh Jacobs the past couple weeks. He still has the role that we're looking for him having. He still has that volume that we're looking for him to have. However, the productivity hasn't been there as much as it has been in those bigger weeks where he went on that 3-game stretch where he was scoring over 30 points per game in fantasy football. So I don't think he returns to that hot streak that he did have, and I don't think that continues year long by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do think he returns to that 20-point category, going up against the middle of the pack Indianapolis Colts, allowing 23.5 fantasy points per game. Again, Josh Jacobs is that bell cow running back. He has work in the receiving game, so we're going to throw him in as a top 10 running back, and you should have him in your lineups, especially against an Indianapolis Colts team that is just absolutely in shambles. I almost said the Josh Jacobs. The Las Vegas Raiders should take the lead here early, which would lead to a game script that is favorable for Josh Jacobs. So Josh will be our number 9 running back on the week. Right behind Josh Jacobs, we have Dalvin Cook versus the Buffalo Bills, who, everyone obviously thinks of the Buffalo Bills as one of those top defensive forces, and you see it right here. They're the number 8 defense versus the running back category, allowing 20.8 fantasy points per game. But if we look back 1 week versus the Michael Carter and the New York Jets, They ran just fine. They ran just fine on the Buffalo Bills. And this is Dalvin Cook we're talking about. Again, these top 10 guys are usually, for the most part, matchup resistant as far as starting them in your lineup. They're always going to be matchup resistant starting in your lineup. It's just a matter of where your expectations are going to lie. So, as far as just starting or sitting question, obviously these guys are going in. But Dalvin Cook is going to be in there no matter what, no matter the matchup. And when we saw that Michael Carter ran all over them last week in that winning effort that they had over the Buffalo Bills, there's no reason that Dalvin Cook can't do that. The only thing here with the Minnesota Vikings is scheme. Dalvin Cook is a little bit more schemed out of the offense than he was previously, but needless to say, that is providing a lot more of an efficient offense and giving him a lot more opportunities in the red zone. So regardless, Dalvin Cook is going to be in our top 10 for Week 10. All right, right behind Dalvin Cook, we have Dameon Pierce. He had a questionable designation here and a limited practice on Wednesday. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. Obviously, again, tune in on Sunday and we'll go over all this Sunday morning when we have more information. But I'm not worried about Dameon Pierce here, unlike the guy that's going to follow him. But he's going up against the New York Giants, who, again, another team that is in the top 5 against the running back position, only allowing 19.4 fantasy points per game to the position. However, Dameon Pierce, A, has been matchup proof, and B, we've seen running backs have success against this New York Giants offense. Their New York Giants defense. So if Dameon Pierce hasn't fallen out of the double-digit fantasy point performance category, ever since he got the starting role, then there's no reason that he should be any lower than our number 11, or at least in the top 15. So for this week, going up against the New York Giants, Dameon Pierce will be our number 11 on the week. So, following Dameon Pierce, we have Aaron Jones, which I said for Dameon Pierce, the questionable designation for him is not something that we're necessarily concerned about at this current moment. Aaron Jones, however, also has a questionable tag on him, and we are concerned about this. I'm not sure what is going to be the deal and how this is going to develop throughout the week. I know Aaron Jones is thinking that he's going to play. Obviously, the players are always optimistic that they will play, so we're going to have to wait to see how this shakes out. If Aaron Jones doesn't play, A.J. Dillon isn't going to jump all the way up here. A.J. Dillon will probably fall around this D category in the top 20, top 25 if Aaron Jones doesn't play. I think Aaron Jones does play, and honestly, I think it just waters down the entire running back room. And I mean, the Green Bay offense is just watered down as it is. So Aaron Jones is going to fall down quite a bit, especially off of that, kind of disappointing performance that he put up against the Detroit Lions. We were really hoping for a massive performance. We threw him into our top 10. I think he was just shy of the top 5 actually last week. Unfortunately, obviously, he got that injury. So again, we'll monitor this. Swing by on Sunday morning to ask your question to see if he is looking like he's going to play. But Aaron Jones versus a very difficult matchup in the Dallas Cowboys is going to be our number 12 on the week. And please temper expectations and monitor this injury throughout the week if you are an Aaron Jones owner. Right behind Aaron Jones is going to be Leonard Fournette in what should be a favorable matchup. The 23rd, best matchup. No, let me think about this. No, I'll be backwards. I guess it's the 9th best matchup for a running back. 24th worst. 23rd worst. Anyways, this is a very good matchup. Again, this is in Germany, so I don't know. These are always really weird, but regardless, Leonard Fournette is going to be involved. Again, this is something to monitor here is that Rachaad White is continuing to work into this offense in the backfield. Leonard Fournette is starting to look like an old man when he's handed the ball. He's still having productivity through the air and through the receiving game. However, I think Leonard Fournette is a player that is going to continue to fall as the season progresses. And honestly, if you can sell him high before he gives us another 10 to 15 point game, if he spits out another 4 more 12-point games in a row like he has been doing over the past 3 weeks now, his value is going to continue to drop and drop and drop as Rachaad White works himself into this offense. So what I would recommend doing is see what you can get for Leonard Fournette packaged with maybe a bench receiver or a bench running back, and see if you can't upgrade for someone like Josh Jacobs or Kenneth Walker maybe. Fill your league out, but Leonard Fournette, I think, is someone that is dropping in value. But this week, going up against the Seattle Seahawks in Germany, I think his professionalism is going to carry through as a seasoned veteran, and he's going to give us a performance that we can play in our starting lineups as our number 13 on week 10. Right behind Leonard Fournette, we have Miles Sanders. One thing I want to confirm here is Miles Sanders is that Monday night game. I was forgetting if it was Monday or Thursday. Thursday is actually going to be our Atlanta versus Carolina Panthers. But Monday night will be the divisional match. Again, we talked about this in yesterday's video, but divisional match on primetime could be a little weird. The issue with Miles Sanders is that Kenneth Gainwell still is working his way into the end zone and working his way into this backfield, stealing touches. I think I saw some crazy stat where Miles Sanders has roughly like quadruple the touches that Kenneth Gainwell has, but Miles Sanders has 6 touchdowns, and then Kenneth Gainwell has like 3. So, I mean, the frustrating part of this offense is that Jalen Hurts can vulture touchdowns at the goal line. Kenneth Gainwell is going to vulture some touchdowns. So even though Miles Sanders is a very nice back in a very good matchup, it's something that we're going to have to throw him in towards the middle of the pack because his floor is so much lower than what it should be for the player. So Miles Sanders in primetime is going to be our number 14 back on the week. Right behind Miles Sanders, we have Cordarrelle Patterson. I'm so excited to see Cordarrelle back in this conversation at all. First time we've seen him on our top 30 in general, and he's going to come right in at number 15 overall. So we'd love to see Cordarrelle back. I mean, the performance that he displayed last week on limited snaps was just absurd. I mean, he looked so good. He just ran over all the defenders in his way. I saw a hit where he came around the corner and just put his helmet into the chest of a linebacker and just sat him down. And coming off of an injury, that's something you want to see. You don't want to see them shying away from contact. He was leaning into it. He gave us 2 touchdowns on limited touches, and going up against the Carolina Panthers, who are allowing 27.8 fantasy points to the running back position, with Cordarrelle being another week removed from that injury, probably have way more snaps than he had last week. He's going to be a smash play. Throw him into your lineups. Don't think twice. RB2. Don't even think about it. Cordarrelle Patterson is back, and he's someone we want in our lineups because he's someone that you don't want to see score 30 points on your bench, and he's very capable of that. So Cordarrelle at number 15 for week 10. All right, behind Cordarrelle Patterson is going to be that Monday Night Football game again with Antonio Gibson going up against the Philadelphia Eagles at home at Philadelphia. So these guys are going to be a middle of the pack rushing defense, allowing 22.4 fantasy points per game to the position. Now, one thing that is interesting is as far as red zone rank, the Philadelphia Eagles are, again, I guess they're middle of the pack for yards or points allowed in the red zone, allowing 94.2 fantasy points per game, fantasy yards, 94.2 yards to the running back position, and 0.8 touchdowns. I'm looking more into these stats because sometimes you have like the New England Patriots are interesting where they are, they're the second best defense to the running back position, but it's just because they're good in the red zone. They're allowing tons of yards. They're allowing over 80 yards a game to the running back position, but they allow 0.1 touchdowns. So it shakes out differently, and depending on which back you have, it can affect the rankings quite a bit. Like if you have someone that is very productive in the red zone only, like Jamal Williams with a fully healthy DeAndre Swift, then that 0.1 touchdown is a lot more scary because you're banking on that touchdown. So again, that's some stuff that we'll start to throw out more and more as we start to see the correlations. But again, regardless, Philadelphia Eagles are going to be a middle-of-the-pack defense against Antonio Gibson, who was involved in the receiving game, the rushing game. He had a slow week last week, but he should bounce back. He's the number 1 running back in this offense. So going up against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football, we're looking for Antonio Gibson to have a solid performance. Number 16 on the week for week 10. Speaking of Jamal Williams, we have Jamal Williams as our number 17 going up against the Chicago Bears in a great matchup for Jamal Williams. We see it here right behind the Kansas City Chiefs, allowing 26.6 fantasy points to the running back position. And again, this is contingent on DeAndre Swift's health, and I'm tired of just continuing to say this. We kind of pulled Keenan Allen out of the rankings last week for the same reason. I didn't pull DeAndre Swift completely out of the rankings in this video, but the issue is we don't know what's going on with DeAndre Swift. Again, tune in Sunday. We'll have a better idea what's going on. But for now, I'm assuming that DeAndre Swift is going to have the same role he had last week, which is basically nothing in the running game, and his only role is in the receiving game. I've seen a quote that said that, maybe a quote's a bad way to put it, but I was listening to some sports talk radio, and I heard them talking about how DeAndre Swift might not even be fully healthy this entire year. So this is very scary. I'm personally a DeAndre Swift owner. I might shop my options to see if I could sell the name. I'm getting really nervous about this, and it's a player that you don't want to have, sitting on your bench anymore, especially if you're right in that middle. What would it be, like 6-3 is 5-4? Yeah. So if you're like 4-5 and you have DeAndre Swift on your bench, I don't think that's something you can wait on anymore, or 4 or 5 or worse, I guess. You can't wait on him anymore. Try to sell the name, try to upgrade, but going off the assumption that DeAndre Swift is going to continue to be this limited role, we did get the news that he was a limited participant in practice today, which is never a good sign. So Jamal Williams is going to be that lead back and taking all the touches on the ground. He has been very efficient, and again, great matchup. So Jamal Williams is someone we're still going to want to throw into our lineup unless we hear randomly out of the blue that DeAndre Swift is miraculously better, but that's not going to happen this week. So Jamal Williams will be our number 17 on week 10. Right behind Jamal Williams, again, this is a very weird range because all these guys, or at least these two right here, we're operating off of injury news that we're trying to predict. So Ezekiel Elliott, I'll read you the report right here just so I don't botch it, but basically he's still nursing that knee injury that he suffered. Again, the players are going to be very optimistic. This right here says Elliott knee took some reps in team drills Wednesday when he was limited participant in practice, but he said he'll need a lot more reps to know if he could play Sunday against Green Bay. So basically, I don't think if he does play, it's going to be at a limited role still. Based on the fact that he is still unsure what's going on, he's still limited at practice, etc. So if the assumption is that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be limited at the very least, then Tony Pollard is going to be a guy that we want to jam into our lineups against the Green Bay Packers, who are right in the middle of the pack, only are allowing 22.7 fantasy points to this position. The Dallas Cowboys offense looked very good last week, Tony Pollard especially. So again, tune in Sunday, figure out what's going on. But for now, with this news on Ezekiel Elliott being very vague and very pessimistic, we're going to have Tony Pollard as our number 18 going into week 10. Right behind Tony Pollard, we have David Montgomery going up against the Detroit Lions, which is a beautiful matchup. Absolutely beautiful. They're allowing 25.7 fantasy points to the running back position. And for anybody that's saying that Khalil Herbert is taking over this backfield, even though he should, in my opinion, I think he looks like a lot better of a back. David Montgomery's snap count, I mean, if you look at the comparison to snap count, it is so favored towards David Montgomery. David Montgomery is the back that's involved in the passing game. So, David Montgomery still is that running back in Chicago Bears offense that you're going to want a piece of. And Justin Fields went for 178 yards last week. He's not going to do that every single week. So some of those yards will go to David Montgomery in, again, a very favorable matchup that we want to have a piece of every single week. This is a run-first offense. Again, even if Khalil Herbert is playing a 50% snap count, they both can eat versus this defense. So regardless of the uncertainty of running backs in the backfield and share distribution, and honestly, there's a 3-person share for the running game, David Montgomery will still be in our top 20 at number 19 for week 10. So throw him into your lineup. He's had a few duds, but we're looking for him to bounce back versus, again, a very, very, very good matchup. This whole tier C right now is just, there is so much in the air. Aside from Antonio Gibson, it's like take your shot. I mean, honestly, I'm a Jonathan Taylor owner. I'm sure plenty of you guys are Tony Pollard, Jamal Williams, David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift owners. Like, this is super messy, and I don't know what to do with Jonathan Taylor at this point. I saw a notification that he is limited at practice today, or was limited at practice today. Deion Jackson was not at practice today. So Other than Zach Moss, they really don't have anyone that they can count on. I know they have Philip Lindsay on the practice squad, but no one that you can start. Jonathan Taylor was the running back 1 year ago. 1 year ago, he was the running back 1. We know he still possesses the skill. He is a younger running back, but this offense just looks absolutely horrible. Our hope here as Jonathan Taylor owners is that Jeff Saturday comes in, whips the 31st ranked offensive line into shape, gives them an idea of what should be going on, takes Sam Ehlinger out of the quarterback position, puts Matt Ryan back in. I mean, we're hoping for some changes here with Jeff Saturday. I don't think we're going to get them. And regardless of the changes of scheme, Jonathan Taylor is going to be nursing this injury for the next 3 weeks at least. He rushed back from a high ankle sprain, got re-injured. Even if he does play, it's going to be limited. So I just don't know what to do with Jonathan Taylor because for me, I'm going to have such a hard time putting him on my bench. But again, it's like a Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift situation where I'm tired of waiting on them. I'm tired of giving them the benefit of the doubt. The injuries just keep coming up, keep getting re-aggravated, and at some point we have to move on. And for me, ranking Jonathan Taylor all the way down at number 20, and honestly, he probably should be ranked lower. This is me giving up. This is me giving up. If you want to play him, I understand, but for me, I just need to see it first. I don't know what's going on with this team, so unfortunately, Jonathan Taylor is going to be our number 20 on the week. Right behind Jonathan Taylor, we have D'Onta Foreman, who is going up against the Atlanta Falcons for the second time in 3 weeks. And if we go ahead and look up what he did last time to give you the exact specifics, versus the Atlanta Falcons just 2 weeks ago, he put up 31.8 fantasy points in that game with 26 attempts, 118 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no work in the receiving game. That's not going to happen again. That's not going to happen again. It was a fluke. Fluke's a bad word. Fluke's a bad word. I don't mean to take that away from D'Onta Foreman, but this was the week or the second week after the head coach was fired. This was with PJ Walker in at quarterback. They were riding high against a very bad defense, but Chuba Hubbard was out in that game. Chuba Hubbard should be back this game. And D'Onta Foreman, the likelihood of him getting 3 touchdowns again is not there, but he is still going to be a lead running back in a very favorable matchup, who are the Atlanta Falcons, who are allowing 23.7 fantasy points to the position. And I think it's very possible that he at least gives us another 15-point performance going into week 10. So D'Onta Foreman, temper your expectations. Don't expect 30 points, but do expect him to go in there and give us some productivity better than last week. So D'Onta Foreman at number 21. Right behind D'Onta Foreman, we have James Conner coming in, back from injury, limited snap count, getting involved in the passing game. He had 5 targets with 5 receptions, and it was the role that we were hoping to see with him coming back. So James Conner versus the Los Angeles Rams, who are allowing 20.3 fantasy points per game to the running back position. Again, we'll see what he does. We'll see how this role continues to develop as he is further removed from his injury. But for now, James Conner is going to be our number 22. The man, DeAndre Swift. We've talked enough about him in this video. You know the deal. He's still coming back from that injury. I don't know. It may be weeks. It might be till next year that he's fully healthy from this injury. So going up against the Chicago Bears, we do, he is still getting touches and he is still DeAndre Swift. So he is always capable of breaking away a massive touchdown and giving you a beautiful fantasy performance. But it's not something we can bank on. It's more of a shot in the dark, and it's hard to take that shot blindly. So DeAndre Swift, as much as it pains me, we're going to have to throw him here as our number 3 for week 10. But man, I would love to see him. And it's against a really good matchup too. And the Chicago Bears allowing 26.6 fantasy points to this position. So even with Jamal Williams falling into the end zone, even with this injury lingering for DeAndre Swift, there's still that possibility and capability that he gives us a good performance. So we're going to put him in at 23. I don't blame you if you want to bump him up or down. This is a very weird situation. And again, Sunday morning. Tune in. All right, right behind DeAndre Swift, we have Jeff Wilson Jr. in Miami. I wasn't able to find a Miami Dolphins picture for Jeff Wilson just yet. They haven't got around to it, I guess. They got other things going on like football. So he's going up against the Cleveland Browns, who are a fantastic matchup, a top 5 matchup, allowing 27.1 fantasy points to the position. The issue is here that we don't know if last week was a welcome party game where he got plenty of touches and was highly efficient. Because, again, he knows the scheme of this offense and this coaching staff. We just don't know if it's going to be a Mostert show or a Jeff Wilson show. Again, last week, it was a Jeff Wilson show. But, again, that was 1 week. We need some validation here. So until we get validated, potentially with this week, Jeff Wilson is going to find himself all the way down here at 24. But I would not be surprised if he gave us another performance like last week where he put up 16.6 fantasy points on the week. If that happens again, you'll see Jeff Wilson a lot higher next week. But for now, until we see it in a new team, in a new situation, we're going to have Jeff Wilson as our number 24. Behind Jeff Wilson, we have Najee Harris going up against the New Orleans Saints. Middle of the pack, allowing 21.5 fantasy points to the running back position. 2 days ago in the Monday night game versus the Ravens, we saw Kenyon Drake, who is he shouldn't be a starter in this league. The only reason he's a starter is injuries. And he put up 97 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the New Orleans Saints defense. So that's the silver lining if you're a Najee Harris owner. But at this point in the season, I'm sure you're trying to bench him by any means necessary. So Najee Harris will be our number 25, but please sit him if you can. I mean, this guy has just looked like he's lost it. Jaylen Warren, again, is continuing to work himself into this offense. He's not hyper athletic. He doesn't have a fast 40. This offense isn't good. Najee Harris is scary. We're going to put him at 25 based on volume, but try to avoid him if you can. All right, we have Devin Singletary behind Najee Harris versus the Minnesota Vikings, who have actually had a very good defense just in general, and honestly a surprising team. I did not think that the Minnesota Vikings were going to be as effective as they are. I didn't even realize that they were 7-1. I mean, I feel like they just snuck through with that record, just squeaking by. I mean, just last week against the Washington Commanders, they almost lost it and then somehow pull out the win. So very weird team here, but going up against this defense, they are still only allowing 20.2 fantasy points to the running back position, which is 6th best in the entire league. So when that is coupled with Devin Singletary, who is unreliable at this position anyways, we have Nyheim Hines in this offense now who's going to be taking some touches away in a completely pass-first team. The only thing here that could be a silver lining that you might want to look at if you are a Devin Singletary owner is that obviously not a silver lining for the Buffalo Bills, but Devin Singletary's silver lining is that Josh Allen is still dealing with a little bit of an elbow injury from last week. He is looking like he's going to play based off of the Las Vegas lines where they have the Buffalo Bills beating the Vikings by 4.5 points right now, I think is the new updated line. So it seems like Josh Allen is still going to play. But even if he does play, they may lean on the running game a little bit more than they're used to. Nothing crazy, no massive changes here. But they might just take 5 more touches away from Josh Allen on the ground and give him the Devin Singletary. So there's your silver lining, potentially trying to predict a boom game for Devin Singletary. But this is a scary guy to play where he is giving us boom-bust performances, but mostly bust. So Devin Singletary will be our number 26. In the flex, I could see it, but try to bench him if you can as well. Right behind Devin Singletary is Khalil Herbert, which is a guy that you could take a shot on. This is a guy that you could take a shot on because of the matchup and the matchup alone. I said it with David Montgomery. I do think that David Montgomery is the preferred back in this backfield based on snap count alone. However, Khalil Herbert is extremely talented, and this offense is going to run the ball as much as humanly possible, especially against the Detroit Lions. So I think Khalil Herbert will have plenty of opportunity, and if he's going to have, if a talented player is going to have opportunity, then he's going to have potential for big plays and big fantasy ceilings. So Khalil Herbert is a guy that I think you could take a shot on in your flex if you're looking for that high ceiling and a long shot. Maybe if you're going up against one of the better teams in your league. So Khalil Herbert will be our number 27 on the week. Right behind Khalil Herbert is honestly kind of someone in the same situation as Khalil Herbert, someone you could take a shot on. And the reason that I say I would prefer for you to take a shot on these two guys than the two guys ranked above them is because I think that Najee and Devin Singletary give you a higher probability at a respectable game. And respectable, I mean 15 points. We'll use that as the line. I think the probability for them is higher to give you that 15-point game. But that being said, the reason I say Khalil Herbert and Kareem Hunt can be the guys you take a shot on is because if you're going up against a difficult matchup where you need, a very high ceiling in your flex position, I think that Khalil Herbert, the likelihood isn't there, but I think that Khalil Herbert and Kareem Hunt give you way higher of a ceiling than the two guys before them. So just for some clarification, that's where my head's at. But Kareem Hunt going up against a favorable matchup in the Miami Dolphins, allowing 21.9 fantasy points to the running back position. In, again, a run-first offense. Kareem Hunt could be someone that you try in at the flex this week if need be. Kareem Hunt at 28. Right behind Kareem Hunt, we have Melvin Gordon because we have to. That's the only reason. We have to put Melvin Gordon in, even though this matchup is horrible, even though Chase Edmonds is now a Denver Bronco, even though Latavius Murray is getting touches. There's, they name Melvin Gordon as a starter. Not really. He maybe he's in there for the first drive, first play, but the reality is you want to avoid this Denver Broncos backfield like the plague. So Melvin Gordon is serviceable. You can put him in if you need to. There are buys here, so you might have to play him. He will be on this ranking video at number 29, but try to avoid him if you can. This is not someone you want to take a shot on. And then right behind Melvin Gordon is Raheem Mostert to round out this video. Again, same thing we said with Jeff Wilson. We're looking for clarity on what this backfield looks like as far as snap count and touches goes between Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, which is why both these guys are ranked very low in a very favorable matchup. Even though they're on a very good offense, favorable matchup. We just don't know what the situation is here. So again, this is about probability. We have these guys ranked lower. One of these guys is going to shoot up rankings after this week based on touches and productivity. So I think Raheem Mostert still has plenty of opportunity and is someone that you could throw in the flex if you need to, but I would prefer Jeff Wilson over Raheem Mostert both this week and rest of the season. So this is going to round out our top 30 video for week 10 at the running back position. Down below, let me know how you feel about these guys. There's a lot of weird injuries looming in the background. There's a lot of guys that are taking the positions of other guys. There's people overtaking the person above them on the depth chart, and then question marks if that's going to remain the same. So we had trades involved. We haven't seen some of these teams since the trade due to buys. So a lot of stuff going on here. So down below in the comments, let me know how we did here with the ranking video, and let me know what you would do differently. I would love to hear it, and I love talking to you guys in the comments. I'm very responsive, so please drop those comments down below. And then if you want to, again, stop by on Sunday morning to hang out, to shoot the shit, but also to set our lineups for the games at 1 o'clock, then go ahead and do so. One thing I want to look up before we get out of here, just out of my curiosity, and then I can relay that information. We talked about the Germany games. I just want to see when those games are actually going to start. I know the London games start early, and so does this Germany game. It's going to be 6:30 a.m. their time and 9:30 a.m. our time. So, let me see. I'm going to plan on doing the live stream. If you made it this far in the video, please, again, throw this in the comments. I'm going to plan on doing the live stream before this 9:30 a.m. game. I'm going to plan on doing it before the 9:30 a.m. game. I'll shoot the stream right around 8. But go ahead and throw down in the comments below if you'd rather me tune in or go live around 8 a.m. or if you'd rather me just, let that game go and then still go live around 10. I'm just curious to see what you guys prefer for years in the future. But again, thank you guys for checking the video out. Like the video if you do like the video. And I'll see you guys Sunday morning. Peace out.